Now, the last feature I'm going to talk about is something called iScription. When your doctor sends your prescription into the manufacturer that makes your lenses, they use a unit to describe the refractive power necessary to correct your eyes called a diopter. Now, a diopter is often written down with an accuracy of up to a fourth of a diopter. However, with iScription, they make it accurate up to a hundredth of a diopter, which means the glasses can be truly and utterly custom tailored to exactly the way your eyes are. And that provides a number of benefits. If you're like me, you do a lot of night driving, which means you deal with something called halos and starbursts. Now, to describe these things is going to be a little difficult, but I think you might have seen them before, especially if they affect you quite heavily like they do me. If you've ever looked at a street light as you drive down the road and there appears to be the light itself and then this kind of glowing haze surrounding it, that's called a halo. And physically it's not there, but it is an optical illusion of sorts that happens when you happen to be looking at it. And for some people, it takes up a larger portion of their vision than others, and it can be very detrimental because it kind of blocks out their view to an extent of what they can see, and that's not good. The worse the halo, the less you're able to really concentrate on other things, because what should only be taking up this much space is now taking up that much space as far as your vision is concerned. And next, there's something called a starburst. And no, it's not the candy. It also has to do with lights. And taking the same concept, looking at a street light as you're driving down, you have the street light. But now you have these rays of light shining out from the source of the light, like as if you can see the photons bursting away from the street lamp. And it can take up a very large portion of your vision, not a solid piece, but little lines of this light going everywhere. And it's another optical trick your eyes play on you, so to speak, and it's not good. And it causes a lot of people to be very wary of night driving. But when you have iScription, it helps reduce these two things considerably, because now everything is focused in so perfectly that you don't get this weird variation that causes those two things to be so predominant when you're driving at night. Now, that being said, Zeiss does make lenses specifically for driving at night. So if you're like a truck driver who's making a long haul from one state to another, you might want to consider the glasses that Zeiss provides specifically for driving at night, which reduces the glare caused by things like rain and the halos and the starbursts and whatnot. But iScription is something that can be done with Trivex and I believe polycarbonate as well, that will enhance your ability to focus on things at night. And it also comes into play with the color contrast, just like the clarity of Trivex did for me. So on top of being able to focus on the road without these optical distractions, you're now able to distinguish little details on the road a little bit easier as well, which should boost your confidence in being able to drive at night. And driving at night can be tricky. Although there's less people on the road, there's also less light on the road, less details to pick up, and less information for your brain to be able to use to process so that you can drive safely. iScription doesn't cost too much more extra. It's a feature you should consider if you drive at night all the time like I do. And with that being said, that's pretty much all the features that are packed into these lenses, explained as good as I can do it. Knowledge is power, and now that you are armed with this knowledge, you can take it to your eye doctor the next time you get your prescription updated, and you have some talking points to bring up with your doctor and say, hey, what about this, or this? And you can get your eyewear custom tailored to the exact way that you want it for your lifestyle, because the options exist, the technology is there, and it is so worth it to try and get these extra features. If you have medical insurance, it pays for a certain amount, but trust me, the little bit higher price tag is so worth being able to see the world in such a beautiful way that you haven't seen it before. So that being said, thanks guys. I'm glad you watched. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, show your friends, check out my other videos. I've got plenty of them. And as always, I will see you next time.